live. So yeah, I apologize. What is it? 1:34. We are trying our best, but you get here, there's stuff to do. Everyone comes in, they start talking. Okay, so Jake is out of town. Experimental show, the 4 words. We did not pick any on Tuesday's show, so we're gonna roll. I am still prototyping my monsters. We did pick the final dates for the monster show. It's January 30th and also February 2nd, so that's coming up. Do I know you? Goblet shirt, very cool. Christmas present. I hope you all had a great holiday. We're here almost in the new year, end of 2021. So, that being said, Zach started so the glory hole is still warming up and I have to prep. So today it's kind of a loose week because Jake's out of town, it's the end of the year. So we're finessing things that we need to clean up by year's end. And we weren't blowing today other than the show. So the glory hole on a cold day takes maybe an hour or so to heat up.
Yep.
So we're gonna start out talking about color. We, at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, we were doing a display to hang all the colors that we have because we know this is R75, that's how you buy it from the store, but apple green or green apple makes a lot more sense to the customer. You clearly aren't gonna say, hey, would you like that made out of R75, sir? Or how about R304?
Yeah.
But if I say icy white and green apple, you totally know what I'm talking about. So here we were in the process of renaming everything and making these beautiful displays. And then the pandemic hit and it was like, these can just go away for a while. So now even the tape is old and crispy. And Nicole, this is Nicole's writing, she's not with us anymore. She found the love of her life during the pandemic and actually moved out of state. So go Nicole. But a nice reminder of Nicole when she was here. So these are the colors, and what I wanted to talk about today is this is the monster parts that I was trying the other day. And Zach, if you want to zoom in on it, maybe if I go against the ground. This I really like, the swirls and curls. What I don't like is the color pattern, and these were scrap colors so I could just test. I love what's happening there, but I do not like this mix. See how it's so spotted? And there's the eyeball. So today, very similar, I'm gonna do just a test body so that I can work on the colors that I want. So let's see, next would be this. These are 2 different blues. But what I want to point out is the scale. This one is smaller than a chocolate chip, but big chunks, and this one are finer chunks. I still want a more solid pattern on mine, but a solid pattern means you need to be even smaller than this. So I am going to use some powders, and the powders are here, and they look like this. So the powders are fine, and that's going to give me a really nice color. So I've got 3 powders that we're going to use. Again, this is how they come from the store. R16, like who knows what that is. Saffron, it strikes, it's lead-free. You know, and the bags range from, no, you don't know. The bags might range from maybe $12 a piece, could be the cheapest, up to like $70, depending on the color. So when we place a color order, we do a bunch at one time, and it's usually many thousands of dollars. So the other part of color that I'm gonna do is this eyeball. So again, I didn't like the spots, so we're gonna use the powder. And then I'm gonna do the spots on it. For my monster, we don't all have to have round eyes, or we don't all have to have white with a color on the inside. I'm kind of thinking they could be anything. So this is a tray that's got, oh yeah, thank you for the torch. This is a tray that has all these long pieces called stringers. And these are the ones that I chose to work with today. So we're gonna do a little powder, squash it flat like a cookie, and then I'm going to put these eyeball colors on it. And I might do a regular eyeball, I could do a cross pattern, I could do anything I want because monsters have no requirements. I think we asked in today's question was what describes a monster. So if you also want to put that in the chat, you could do it. I say 4 words or more to tell us what you think a monster is. Are they furry? Are they friendly? Are they scary? Do they have 2 legs, 4 legs? Another part of today's show is that we have these legs made per our specification from another artist, a metal artist. They're metal legs. And we have extras. And so what do you do when you have extras? You use them. So the monsters we're going to make are going to sit on top of these. My original thought was something round, but today I'm actually going to go with a flat disc. And I'm going to try something different. Because again, I don't know, monsters. Think about like the people who work for Pixel Studios or Disney. Like they put human characteristics to make us like the item, but there's a lot of play there. My monster could have anything. It could be whatever I want.
That's very true.
This is very true. So, I'm going to take the powders and we're going to put them over on that marver so that
3 different ones?
3 different ones so that the dust goes up under our hood system. Will you show them the hood system? The hood system is this big silver thing right there, and what that does is suck up the residual powders or something that might be in the air. So the hood system is something we made. It's very specific to our business. And that's that. It's so weird when you can't, like, does anyone have any questions? I'll just have to pretend I hear your questions coming through. All right, so is his mic off? Is his mic off? Oh. We walk away with our mics on sometimes, so we're going to assume. Okay, the other thing I have is this mold. Now, normally we blow into the mold and get a shape or a pattern or design. Today I'm using this mold because it's brass, it's very heavy, and I'm going to use it to squash the eyeballs down. So I'm going to put some glass, squash it down. You can use wood, you could use this mold. Again, I liken it to Play-Doh a lot of times. Think about when you were a kid with Play-Doh and it had, like, you'd push it through that squashing machine and it had all the little different segments that you could use. So what do you use to create pattern? Okay, that's that. Chris cleaned off the tools, got the bench ready. I think we can start. The only thing I'm missing is the paddles. But I think, Chris, I'll just flatten it at the bench. I don't know where the cork paddles are kept. Where are the cork paddles kept? In the other room? Okay. Alrighty. Some tools are in place. I wonder if Jake's washing. Oh, the cork. I get to do that one. That's right. Okay. Glory hole is nice and hot. I'm going to let Chris take the door off because it's kind of heavy, and where it goes, I'm too short to lift up to it. All right, so I'm going to get started. Here's a trick. So whenever you have a blowpipe, the first thing you do is blow through the blowpipe to make sure it's like a giant straw. And this one's clogged. That means there's some glass blocking the tip of it. And if I try to make a piece, it's just going to be a fiasco. So I'll set this pipe aside and later on we'll clean it out. And cleaning it out just means getting the tip nice and hot, blowing through it until it pushes that glass that's blocking it out. Plan B. Now there's another pipe, so it sounds like a giant straw. The pipes do get rusty just being in the studio. So glass blowers never have clean hands. So you don't wear your best clothes here either.
All right. Do I need to know anything?
No, I'm going to go in a color, then I'm going to go in a little powder to make it more opaque, and then you can bring me any color of the powders for
Okay.
bits. So clear glass.
So that's one of the really nice things that you can do with different colors, especially the difference between like a size 2 frit and a powder. She was just explaining to you guys about the powders, the 3 powders over there that we have closer to the hood, just because they're so fine, there's a little more airborne-ness to them. So when we have them by the hood draws those up. But check out this size right here, which is size number 1. Zach, if you can get in on that a little bit. Those are kind of about the size, they're probably about a quarter the size of a chocolate chip. But different size frits allows you literally hundreds and hundreds of different options to color technique when it comes to layering the colors, when it comes to how the colors added onto the clear crystal. You know, in our particular studio, we sometimes melt full tanks of glass, of colored glass, but most of the time we're buying our color pre-made because you have so much more options to color patterns when you have a tank of clear crystal and you add the color on after you gather it out of the furnace. It just gives you much more diversity. But so she added 2 different colors here, that like opal blue, and then she's got almost like a turquoise blue in the center that she layered in between the 2 colors, and now she's starting her bubble in the blowpipe. I'm actually have absolutely no idea what she's making. She hasn't let me in on her top secret
No, it's
prototype
not top
information.
secret. I'm still testing.
Yeah, she's testing it out, but she hasn't let me know, which is totally fine because I'm just going to be bringing her bits, and a lot of times that's a really good thing. You're going to want a bench blow?
Sure. That's why we do it.
Yeah.
Okay, blow.
And you see how she pulled that blowpipe right out of my mouth when she was
Blow?
done. A little more?
Yes. Okay, so even though I layered the colors, it's still spotted. So it's opaque from the frit, or the powder. So next we're gonna squash it.
Okay. Did you want me to squash it, or you?
You can squash it.
All right, I've got the squashers, folks. The thing I like about the cork paddles, and these are solid cork, guys. That's some pretty thick, and cork is actually a bark that comes from a tree that the bark is cork.
Bark? Woof woof. Wait.
You
Okay.
want to keep the corks moving, because if you don't keep them moving while you're ovalizing the glass, the glass will actually stick to the cork surface. If I just took them on there and went and squashed them real good, the corks would burn and stick to the exterior of the glass. That's why you saw I was rubbing them on there real smooth.
Okay, so a few things. One, I'm interested in, that was a round shape, but I'm also interested in making my monster like this.
Saucer.
Yeah, so we're gonna do 2 eyes on it. So this big, any of the powders here, squash it so it's like a little cookie.
So it'll end up, after it's squashed, it's going to be about the size of this circle right here?
Yes.
Okay.
And then
I'm
I'm
just
gonna-
going to squash them and leave them sitting there, and you're going to do the distance after that.
Yes, I'm gonna apply them. So my theory is this. You know how were talking about someone's dog and how it was deaf and blind, but yet when it went outside, it still knew where the squirrels were. And so we were talking about how you develop a sense of smell then that's really good because your other senses are gone. So my theory, I'm playing with some of the monsters, they're not going to have eyes, nose, ears, because they're going to have heightened ability.
They're going to have some type of psychic ability?
Well, they're going to have heightened ability. If they've got two
Good.
eyes, yes, they're going to see really well, but then they're not going to be able to hear. Okay, I need one more.
Different color or the same?
Same color, a little smaller. And then we're going to do cane work on them. So then the other thing is this way, thinking about how the item sits on a tabletop. Is it looking up, or do I create something where it looks at you? So my point with today's show is to give you lots of options for design. Not you, but me. Some people also work, they draw everything up. So I prefer to work hot. I think about the ideas in my mind and how I'm going to make them versus drawing them. Flash this for me? Thank you. Do you remember what was that color?
It was the like a green or something, I think. A new green powder.
Okay. So what does it mean when someone gives you the big eye?
They go like this.
Well, what does it symbolically mean?
I think it could mean a couple different things. You could be doing something wrong. You could be doing something right. They're just kind of like surprised is what's going on. So they give you the big eye. Want me to do anything to it?
Yeah,
Flatten
I
it?
want you to, yep. You want a flash? So I'm interested in this kind of work. What I need next time is my eyeglasses and a longer piece of cane because...
Yep, my eyes were actually sore last night from doing all the torch work on my pieces.
All right.
I gotta make sure that I'm going in and keeping the moil, which is the neck in the glass that's on the pipe, hot, because if I don't, it's gonna want to break off in this area right here. Man, you're doing it like you did it before.
Okay, so
Like an
I've got
expert.
2 eyes. So when it comes off the pipe, I'm going to have that hole there. So that's it for this one. And so we'll just torch the hole when we break it off.
So is this where the feet might be thought about being attached?
Yeah.
You want a patty there or anything, the size of that, to put on there, to
I don't
have
know.
that sitting on there?
Yeah, probably. Like that?
Yep.
So bring me a clear patty. Do you push this in? What are you
you
doing
could,
there?
yeah.
Is this painted?
Yes, but it doesn't matter. You just gotta do it quick.
All right, I'll take the patty at the bench. So Chris had a point. There's some logistics to the finishing piece to attach those legs, and the best way to do it. tech support is being so kind to us. You guys have questions, comments. Woo,
Nice.
that's a hot one.
Ooh, it almost looked like it was pushing the bubble in a little too, which looked pretty neat.
So I think what we're gonna do, will you bring me a small Maritz? And then I'm gonna punny it up and do some hair in that section. You'll see. You'll see. These are so fun. So I want to remind everyone that Chris said he doesn't want to do any blowing today.
I did?
Uh-huh.
When?
Uh-huh. Earlier when I was like, hey, you want to do some of the pieces that you've got upcoming? And you're like,
I didn't say I didn't want to blow at all, everybody. I just said I didn't want to do what Michelle was telling me she thought I wanted to do. If she wants me to blow, I want to blow a whole bunch of stuff. I love blowing glass.
whoa. That's far away. Let you heat it a second.
It looks like it's giving us the big eye.
I know. Isn't it fun? All right, my mic is switched around. Maybe that's better. All right. So this is really funny. Last week we were open to the public. At this time we're not normally open to the public. So we have a doorbell and the doorbell kept going off. So all of us were like, who's here? Because we're not normally open at this time. Well, apparently YouTube really liked us as well because they're like, there's some copyright infringement on music. We're like, the doorbell? Really? I do want to remind everyone, the experimental show items are not for sale because they are experimental. So if you are living in California and you come through Detroit to visit, you'll see our experimental shelf and you can be like, oh yeah, I saw that. And then it's always fun to keep the prototypes. This is the part that makes Chris's brain go, what are you doing? It's not round anymore.
It's cool how when you're doing a prototype, you see other things happening because you've never seen that before. So it gives you ideas, and it might not be that idea that is the finished idea, but seeing that open up like a mouth or something with the eyes is pretty cool. Oh yeah, I've seen Forged in Fire, everybody. Plenty. Totally. Love that show.
We were just watching it last night, as a matter
Yeah,
of fact.
I saw a little bit of one of the episodes last night. I think it's a great show. I think it's really cool, the diversity of the blacksmithing. I do a lot of blacksmithing myself, and I do love working the metal. The metal works the same as the glass, except that the material moves a lot slower. You know, so blacksmithing and glass blowing are one and the same, except that the glass is hot. You have to keep going back to the fire to keep it malleable. It's exactly what you need to do to the metalwork as well too. And then the metal, when it's cold working it is the same as cold working the glass. Polishing it, cutting it, fabricating it, manipulating it after the fact is a really cool process. So you're looking for some hair bits?
No, I'm not.
He looks like a chomper. Ta 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 ta.
You know what I like? Ooh, he's gonna have special notes inside of him. Secret compartment. So I'm just using the torch to smooth out the cut marks. Yeah. So the final thing I want to do is kind of push that back down again.
I did cool that off.
Did
if
you?
you're
You
planning
dipped
on
it?
using it, I dipped
Look at
it.
how fun.
He is cool looking.
All right. Why is it a he though too? Could be gender neutral. It
I
could
think
be a they or a
did
them.
I say he? I think I said it's cool looking, but it could be an it.
He.
An it. I mean, monsters don't even have a gender.
Or do they? Tell us.
Some,
Inquiring
I
minds
think
wanna
some
know.
insects are genderless. I mean, you don't even know what's inside their bodies. They don't even have the same type of organs. Some of them just have an opening and everything they eat just goes into a giant thing of goo in their body. Like, I mean, I don't think caterpillars have stomachs. They just have goo.
Stop while you're ahead. All right, there's the bottom side. There's the top. Looks like he could be like this, a sweeper. So many ideas. All right.
So going into the annealing oven with it?
Yeah, I'll just break it off in there.
You want me to torch that punty?
Sure. Look at that. What a punny. Which are the preferred tongs?
It could be for the annealer reveal.
Do I want to stand for it? Oh yeah, I might. So Lucy is our daughter, Lucy and I had a thing where we had an open mouth creature and we'd put little love notes inside it for each other. I think that would be kind of a cool thing.
All right.
So here's the thing. Should I do another one or should someone else get a turn?
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing something.
Go for it.
Need a little bit of a bigger pipe.
Oh, no. Come on, they have to be a certain size.
What?
All right. Well, do you have a question? Oh, yeah. So the other part about letting Chris or having Chris do a piece now too also gives me time to think of what I just did, what I liked, didn't like, and what I want to do on the next one. So we'll have Chris do one and then I'll do one more. And that will be today's show. I liked my eyeballs. What I'm going to do in the future is I'm going to make a bunch of these patties and I am going to do a different color process for the eyeballs and then have them preheated in a kiln. Come this way, Zach. So this is a giant one. This is called a top loader. It's the annealer oven, but you can put a little shelf in there and then when I'm making the items, I can go in and pick them up. This is the one that we'll use for what I want to do is not plugged in right now, so we will get that out when I start making them. These are front loaders, which means you load from the front. Top loaders, depending what projects we have going on, we have a bunch of different ones. This one has a little cage in it right now because when we were making holiday ornaments, you could just knock them off in there and they wouldn't roll. What you don't want them to do is roll on those elements over there because then they would stick and they would melt. So, yes. So that way when I do my eyes, I can also see the colors and really match up what I want and get more detailed with the color. I'm interested in having more choices for the color than doing this hand coloring while it's hot. I like both, but I'm not sure. If I'm going to make 20 of these in a row, I might want to do the eyes like I'm thinking. So Chris is getting his colors out, and let's see what he does. The other thing, start up.
What?
Go ahead and start up.
Okay.
The other thing about the eyes were they were 2 different sizes. So when I make a bunch of eyes, and then I put them in the kiln, I can choose same size, different size, because everything's handmade. I can have that choice. Here's another tool that's kind of fun when the screwdrivers go bad. So ice pick or screwdriver ground down, turned into an ice pick. This is our feathering tool. This will create a really nice color pattern when you draw with it. You pull it across the surface of the glass. Is yours solid?
It's going to be solid, yes. And it's, I'm just thinking, you guys, this is something I'm just coming with right out of my head right now. But I have been thinking a little bit about it. I know I want it to be solid because I want to be able to manipulate the layer of glass on the outside of it without having the piece be super moving, super like molten and out of control. So I took a core gather, I'm gonna let this get really hard, and then I'm going to gather over it with crystal, add some color on it quickly, and then manipulate that into the texture of the surface of this monster's little body.
So I love working from home. Jessica's doing the e-news for Sunday, and she's like, is this right? And it's like, how easy. I'm sorry, I just love cell phones. Because it's like she's at home hanging out with her kids, they're all doing something, she's able to pop in and write the e-news. And I can answer her.
That was that pipe Michelle had earlier that had a bunch of glass in it. I just got it unplugged. Just blew that glass out of the end. All right, so I got a nice cold core here. I'm gonna coat a layer of crystal over the outside, and we're going to town on it.
Going to town? Is that like Christmas town, downtown, uptown?
Is the Taglia out, Michelle?
No, where does it reside? Found it. Oh, this is the jumbo one. Looks like a soft serve ice cream cone.
Little texture on there, it's kind of cool.
It's like the Michelin Tire Man.
I definitely wanted to get it to really kind of look like chub rolls, like some really texturous little chubby action.
So were you thinking of a grub? When you were talking about caterpillars and stuff? It's kind of got a grub body.
Well, yeah, but this is going to be standing straight up. So if I do it this way, and I get it really hot right now, I want it to look organic, like a texture of skin or some type of crazy monster surface of its body. So if I get it really hot right now, and then I go over to the Marver and let it fall down on its own, I think it's going to be pretty cool. And with all my might, I'm fighting the symmetry monster in my head because I'm always want everything I make to be very symmetrical and geometric, and so trying to keep this piece organic is definitely something that's a little bit of a challenge for me.
Talk about it. All right, in from tech support. Do we work with lead crystal? And we do not. Lead, when you add it to clear glass, when you add it to crystal glass, makes it soft so you can carve it. That is the reason that you put lead in your glass. So crystal is carved glass. It's not a style that we do. That looks super cool. Yeah, we do not.
So I've got myself a cool little spot in there, and this is looking pretty interesting. I have to make sure that I just don't let it fall back on center.
That's a struggle for you.
It is. That's what I was just telling everybody. But I'll take a small punting shell, or just normal size punting with a little bit of girth in it. So when I put it on there, this was the way it was looking. I think it was like that. Right. It sat like that. So I got to remember where the front and where the back is. This is his back. It's back.
So another thing that's interesting about glass shops are the smells. Burning the metal right now had a little residue from the grind or the paint or something. So there's this interesting smell in the air. What color was it?
It was a mix of two different powders, saffron and then a type of a blue as well.
Oppa.
All right, so I'm gonna take in a minute, I'm gonna take a small little bit for the eye. That's right. The eye.
When you say small, give me an idea. P? Okay.
4 coats of white on it. Just trying to heat the top of this up so that I can shape it into a shape without distorting any of those really cool organic ripples that I got in there.
You can hear from the Pastorelli how quickly it cools down.
It does really cool down quick, especially when you're working solid. Like when you saw Michelle blow her piece, she blew it out and it was really thin and it cools really quickly and has a very limited amount of movement time. When you're working solid, it's a completely different, crazy situation. You can start that bit up, Shell. So I've got her bringing me a white bit that I'm going to be putting on here. Got to make sure my punty stays hot. Remembering that high point was my back. Just thinking out loud, this crazy looking.
Do you want me to marver it or you want it?
I think that just bringing it nice and hot will be fine. Thank you. She asked me if I wanted her to marver it. Just thinking about it, I'm like, I wonder if I want it marvered, but that would cool it a little bit.
So I mentioned this as our feathering tool, but it's also a tool that can manipulate just a surface area. Do you want more of this or no?
Oh, I don't. Nope. So I got a nice little kind of eye-looking shape on there. I'm going to let this piece fall back on center.
No, no, no. You're not supposed to be on center.
Well, I mean on center on the bottom. There you go. All right, Shell, you want to hold it for 1 second? I'm going to put the pupil in there. You may have to give it a little bit of a flash in a moment, nice and deep on the punty. Just like I got this piece of black I'm using is a pretty thick piece and you can only heat it up so quick without it wanting to crack. So you see I've got that end nice and hot right now. I'm not gonna have you flatten this, Michelle. I'm gonna have it just kind of stay rounded. Okay, straight up.1 second. Stay straight
flip?
up, straight up. Okay, flasher.
We got to remember the powders with the punty to do a bit.
The what?
To do a bit
Oh, the sticking, you mean?
because it's sliding.
Mm.
That's why I wanted to flip.
All right, I'll take a couple small bits, Shell, of that purple. Probably 1 bit, and I'll make 2 of them off of there. Always making sure that I keep that punty hot, guys. You know what'll happen if I don't keep it hot? The punty is how I'm holding the piece. If I don't keep that nice and hot, it's going to want to break off the bottom.
Do you want it Marver? What would you like?
I think just bring it over one bit and then flash it, and then I'll take a second bit off of it. All right, I think that's pretty good. I think I did want to do something with the top of the head, but I just have to look at it, Michelle, and see, and I think I'll be kind of done with manipulating it.
It is. And I'm just thinking about the GA stamp. These experimental shows, we do not put the GA stamp on it. Once we decide the final look and where we're going with these,
Yeah.
we'll figure that out. That's pretty funny. You just want to hug it. Hello, my friend.
He is kind of pretty. Maybe it doesn't need anything up top. What do you think?
I think it doesn't.
I always think that you need stuff on
Less
top of your
is
head.
more.
But, you know, I think this is looking pretty cool just the way he is. Check him out, guys. He's got a little hunchback droopage going on over there. He's got some little paddle mole type hands and one eye. All right, so I think that's it. I'm going to give it its last flash and we're going to put him away.
You're just going to break it straight off in the nailer?
Yeah, I'll put him away with the granny grabber.
That might offend some grannies.
Hmm.
Why is it called a granny grabber? What if you have a broken foot and you're using it?
I think that online it was called the granny grabber when
I'm
Jake
just
bought it.
asking.
So we're not offending anybody. AKA the granny grabber, folks.
Aw,
All right.
so cute.
Pretty nice. Little experiment.
All right, one more. You know what this is reminding me of is kind of the Muppets. You know, like when Jim Henson made the Muppets, what was his theory?
I think, Zach, this might be an era that you grew up in, but do you remember Pokemon? Didn't they, what was it called when the little Pokemon turned into, he evolved? Is that what it was? Yeah, I was trying to think about that yesterday. Like the monster that I make will evolve into something bigger and crazier. Might be, it's interesting. Like, is it a little mini Tasmanian devil type thing that's evil and crazy that evolves into this giant mushy lovey-dovey thing, or is it the little lovey-dovey thing that evolves into the crazy terroristic monster? Remember Charizard? I do. I remember him. That's the only one I remember, just because he was all fire orientated. All right, looking like we're getting some white added on there.
White and blue.
Everybody knows what white is made of, right? I know you do. It's not made of any other colors, that's for sure, because it's white. It's made of tin, the element tin.
We might have new watchers.
Yeah.
So how many people are new?
How many people are new out there? Let Sam know, our tech support, if you're new to the show, because we always feel like we're telling you guys the same thing over and over and over, but I do know that a lot of people watch the show who've never watched it before, and they want information about what we're doing, and I feel like I'm telling you the same thing over and over again, but I'm not, because I'm telling a lot of new people.
Yeah, and people watch it later too.
Yeah.
Some people are at work.
So Shell's blowing air into the blowpipe through the end, holding that steady pressure. And I don't know if she's going to roll it on the Marv or not, but the steel table that we work with right here is called the Marver. This is like a 1-inch plate, and that steel plate shapes the glass that you're working on, but it also cools the glass in the specific areas that you want it cool. So it'll blow out differently.
Go for it. Blow. That's it.
All right. Everybody ready for the new year out here? Out there in the world?
Happy New Year.
That's right. It's not far away. Friday night. I know we got a U of M game that's going to be being played Friday night. Who are we playing, Zach?
We scooch.
Georgia.
I'm going to swing this.
Michelle's going to swing it, so watch out. Just talking about football, she's getting buck wild now.
'Cause that's me.
It's a 7:30 game. Is that what it is? Nice. Well,
Is it in Ann Arbor?
No.
Okay, good.
Is it? What is it? It's a bowl game though. What's it called? It's just the playoffs, not called a bowl. The Orange Bowl, and if they win, they go to the Rose Bowl, or what do they go to? They should go to the Coconut Bowl. Why not? I just saw the Dorito Bowl was on TV. I'm like, really? The Dorito, or the Cheez-It Bowl? People all had square things on their faces, Cheez-It, so they're like,
Cheese
we're at
that.
the Cheez-It Bowl, yay!
Will you
I don't know.
will you take this?
I
Will you
shall.
hang on to it? All right, so this one.
Ooh, smelling waxy. I love the beeswax, guys. That's what we use to lubricate our tools.
I gotta switch hands. That's why I did it so good the one time and not the other time.
Right? You got to think about how you're doing it.
All right. Will you push these down? Whoops, hold on. Don't be pressuring me.
I'm not. I'm just getting ready. Ooh, shorty.
You can flash it if you like or no.
See that little piece of glass Michelle's got in her hand? It's a recipe for
Success.
pain.
Success. Okay, that's that. Now,
Look at that guy. He's almost cone head.
well, not yet, because now comes the fun part. I need gathers of, is it the saffron? I'll take the saffron.
Alrighty.
Question from Twitch. We pull out the stringers ourselves because we know the glass is compatible with our glass. We could buy them, but we don't use them that often. This is kind of a new thing. But yeah, and all the torch workers, bear with us. This isn't normally how we work.
How do we work?
I mean, with cane and stuff.
It's looking good.
So here's something you may or may not. Can you flatten that? Flatten it, yes. Do you need this?
That flat enough?
Yes. So I'm going to take 3 or 4 of those. You can just keep them coming. Right here.
Want another one off of this bit?
Nope, but you can gather on that bit. If you guys remember the other day when I was pulling out these, I'm looking to make some curly hair. And already you can see how quickly it cools off.
I'm ready.
Yeah, you gotta flatten it. Or you're ready. You flattened it over there. Let's see, I guess I'll do this side.
Ooh, that's cool looking.
First. But of course it is.
I love seeing things come out of somebody else's mind. Because you think about things your own way, but especially when it's your wife, because it's like you know the way her mind works, but then when you see things come out of it that are crazy and cool and interesting, it's really fun.
So what I started to say was, you guys may or may not know, but I absolutely love curly hair. And so my monsters are going to have curly hair. If they have hair. Next time I will have the other tweezers, which have a nice rounded tip to them, versus these. But this is the detail I just really like. Turn, half turn.
More?
No.
And the interesting thing also about making prototype pieces is that you're working the glass pretty much from the hip, which means you're kind of like pulling it right out of your mind and working it, and you don't necessarily know how the glass is going to work or move when you're working it. But once you decide on a cool design and something that you've discovered, it's then when the piece goes into production and we start making more of them, that's when you really get good. So hypothetically speaking, let's say that this ends up being the piece that Michelle decides to put into production. Putting all those like natural curly waves in whatever that is coming off of this little mini beast is going to happen a lot smoother and a lot easier and become more beautiful and cool looking the more you do it. It evolves, kind of like the monsters, as you're doing them.
Jeez, it cools down fast.
So I got to get rid of this little bit here because it's going to want to explode and break off the pipe any moment. So I'm going to put that inside the bucket over here.
Will you bring me just another colored bit round?
Same color?
Yep.
you guys can see that it's pretty darn tough to be blowing glass by yourself. People always say, oh my goodness, you need to have more than one person. You do need to have more than one person to really work the glass in its very easy process. If you were working by yourself, it would just be a lot harder to make something.
I keep putting the torch away upside down.
Backwards? The other thing, you'll see us all working together, a lot of different processes that take multiple people.
3 times as big. I'll take another one. I'm going to fill in that space. So that was funny. I wasn't very clear with the size bit I needed, and it was a lot tinier. But we'll fix that.
One of the old sayings I always like to say is, if somebody's blowing glass by themselves and getting a lot done, they're generally somebody who likes to be by themselves. They don't like working with other people because they might be really particular. Now that's some buttery looking goodness there, folks.
Yeah, what I didn't like was the little holes. So, solve that problem.
Oh yeah. You see her quench the tweezers in the water? The longer you manipulate the glass, the hotter the metal gets, to the point where the metal will actually stick to the glass. And at that point, right before that temperature gets to that point, you want to quench your tool so that it doesn't stick to the glass.
So also what will happen, it's like a hairstyle. I love it. I want to fix that eye. I'm not happy with that eye. Will you flash it for me?
Uh-huh. You're going for another little bit at it, a little bit bigger on there?
Yeah, just the color's kind of smeared, and I'm not loving that.
Once you spin it off, just heat it up and round it out a little, and then I'll press it.
And go ahead, one more. I'm just going to add a touch of something dark. Very fine. Yeah, and the trick is, where's Joey when you need him? Because it is super hot.
Leave those sticking off a little bit.
Doesn't help. All right. So it's going to go on the patty. Does it need a patty to be glued? It needs something, right?
It needs to have a patty, so if you drop a patty, I can stick it on the patty for you, or you can stick it on the patty.
Well, how are you breaking it off?
Oh, I would probably break it off and just grab it like right here.
With cold
Stick it on the
shears?
patty, yeah.
Warm up the shears
Yeah,
for
they'll
me.
be warm. So this is what would be giving it the base to make it adhere to whatever type of bottom we're going to be putting on this guy.
Like butter.
looks pretty good. He's in there nice, or it's in there pretty nice.
So I'm a fan of Dale Chihuly, and I'm imagining his curls. So how I see this happening instead is making a bunch of curls like pumpkin stems and then applying it to the piece. That's what I think I'm gonna do.
I like it.
And then my eyes will be made separate, which I really like. I think I've come up with my design.
Woo!
It took a little while, but there it is. Because I always like too the challenge of technique, so that as we're doing something new, we're challenged with a new technique, but also enough that everyone learns, but that it doesn't look like a scribble, like a 4-year-old. If that makes any sense. You'll see.
Yeah, some 4-year-olds do a fancy squiggle.
I know, we just discovered that the other day.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think that's all we've got today. Sam has another question. Yeah, that's a good analogy. Like if you've made handmade toffee or caramels, as it starts to cool, it does have that consistency. Not right from the furnace, but like the hair kind of had that taffy-like, yeah.
Yeah, and we could say that we think that it would feel like that because we've never felt the glass like sticky toffee. But we did one time. Michelle and I had a friend.
When you get taffy and you play with it.
I know, but I'm saying I know what taffy feels like, and I know what toffee feels like, but I don't know what molten glass feels like in my hands because I've never grabbed it and stretched it out with my bare hands. It would burn you. So we did have a master sugar sculptor puller come in one time, a long time ago. And we did a class with that person, and manipulating the sugar with your hands was at the point where it was almost too hot to touch at a certain point. So that was very close to the glass. I think that's about as close as it gets to molten glass, wouldn't you say?
I would. That's why Sticky Lollies is so fun to watch, because it's so similar to what we do.
Yeah, it is cool.
If we have any Sticky Lolly fans out there. All right, I think that's all for us today. Happy New Year. We'll
Sounds
see you
good, guys.
in the new year.
Yeah, we won't be seeing you until after the 1st. So have a happy new year, a safe new year, and we'll talk to you soon.